You ever walk through a neighborhood so perfect, so manicured, that even the air feels like it's been filtered for the right kind of folks? That's Fair Haven for you, where the lawns shine brighter than the people's smiles, and every mailbox stands a little taller, hoping you won't notice the secrets buried just beneath the surface. And I'm telling you, I was never supposed to fit into that picture. But some mornings, the world dares you to test the script. So there I was, Eleanor Monroe, wide-brimmed hat, lavender coat, came striking a quiet rhythm along the sidewalk. I've always moved like I belonged wherever my feet landed, but in places like this, belonging is a matter of opinion. And opinions can get dangerous, you know what I mean? It's funny how the morning sun makes everything look gentle, even when something sharp waits just around the corner. 3 houses down, half hidden in shadow, a patrol cruiser idled, engine purring like a warning. Officer Thomas Lasker, one of those men who think a badge entitles them to rewrite your story. His eyes didn't drift, didn't blink, just followed me like he was waiting for an excuse. I'd seen that look before, the kind that sizes you up not by your age, not by your stride, but by your skin and how well it matches the scenery. He gripped the steering wheel like he wanted to squeeze out a confession. I kept walking, slow, measured, letting the cane announce each step. The kind of walk that says, I'm not running, I'm not hiding. If you want a problem, you'll have to invent one yourself. By the time I passed house number 30, the air behind me felt tight as piano wire. I heard the click of a radio, the mutter of a man who believes justice is just a word, game nothing personal, just business. That's when I felt his eyes change, like he'd made up his mind about me before I'd even turn around. Red and blue lights split the calm, bathing my back in suspicion. I stopped, didn't turn, just stood there, hat pulled low, letting silence do the talking. And he stepped out, slow as theater, boots heavy, every move a reminder that in Fair Haven, the uniform always expects you to flinch first. You live around here, he called, voice laced with that brand of threat that likes to pretend it's a question. I kept my gaze forward. I've lived in many places, I replied, calm as the morning. And in every one, I've watched men lose their standing by mistaking quiet for weakness. He didn't like that. Not one bit. Men like him don't like their scripts messed with. He pressed closer, crowding my space without touching. Is that supposed to mean something? Or are you just one of those poetic types who thinks riddles buy you time? His smirk was ugly, but I've faced uglier. I don't trade in riddles, I said. I trade in consequences. He wanted my ID. I knew how these games go. You move too fast, you become a headline. Too slow, you become a statistic. So I moved slow, deliberate, pulling out a wallet that held more history than he was ready for. I held out the federal car, not for him to take, but for him to see. He squinted, then sneered, trying to laugh it off. Some kind of novelty ID? What is this, a souvenir from a courthouse gift shop? You don't look like you belong here, he said after a pause, his voice dropping lower. And I told him, neither did Rosa Parks. Neither did every first who walked into a room full of last names. For a moment, something in his eyes faltered. Maybe it was the name, maybe the way I held my ground. His hand hovered too close to his holster, the camera on his chest blinking half covered by his own forearm. That's the geometry of selective memory. He raised his voice, but I didn't answer fear with fear. I'm not refusing, I told him, but I hope you're ready for what you find. I let him see the card again, U.S. Circuit Court, class of '92. His mouth twitched. Then, the twist nobody saw, Kamingi demanded my name, and I gave it. And right then it clicked. 3 years ago, that same name crossed his desk, stamped across a case file thicker than any excuse he could conjure. Jordan Wells, 17, no weapon, no record. Just a boy in a hoodie who'd asked why he was stopped. It was Lasker's name on the arrest report. It was Lasker who'd slammed that boy into the pavement so hard his neck broke. Lasker who'd buried the evidence and let the system hide the bruises with paperwork. I watched his confidence shatter, piece by piece, as I recited every page, every cover-up, every mother's phone call I'd received 2 days after Jordan's funeral. You were never ruined by me, I told him. You were protected by a system that's more scared of the truth than of you. His voice turned bitter, accusing me of ruining his life with accountability, with facts. That's the favorite word of men who forget how to spell justice. He tried to throw anger at me, but all that landed was fear. And then, the second twist of standard envelope, cream-colored, with a federal seal, appeared in my hand. I didn't wave it. I didn't threaten. I just told him, "You thought this was a coincidence? You were scheduled." The envelope bore his name. A federal summons. Case reopened. 3 years of silence cracked open on a Fairhaven sidewalk. Lasker fumbled with the envelope, tried to stand his ground, but the ground was gone. Dispatch confirmed it, cold and clinical. Summons is valid. Target is Officer Thomas Lasker. Suddenly, the badge on his chest felt less like armor and more like evidence. He tried to unpin it, desperate to shed the weight, but I stopped him. Don't throw it away. Keep it not as proof of who you are, but as a reminder of what you pretended to be. I pressed it on his sleeve, upside down a burden, not an honor. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw the vacancy in his eyes. The badge wouldn't save him. It would follow him into every hearing, every hallway, every sleepless night. I left him there, rooted to the sidewalk, badge twisted and future unraveling, the quiet between us heavier than any courtroom silence. My cane tapped 3 times closure, not ceremony. And I walked on, not away, but forward, carrying the memory of Jordan Wells in my coat. For him, for every name the system tried to erase. By midday, word had already reached the precinct. Lasker sat, not defiant, but defeated, as the video he'd thought was buried replayed in perfect Clarissa Boy, a question, a silence that was never empty. The captain said it plain, "We're not protecting you this time." That afternoon, I stood before the Federal Judicial Oversight Council, no longer asking for permission. "The silence you asked of me is over," I said. "You prioritized alignment over accountability. But now proof sits on your desk." I didn't shout. I didn't plead. I just let the evidence speak a folder thick with every lie, every timestamp, every name they tried to bury. The council's faces tightened, some with shame, some with anger, all with the knowledge that the old system was cracking. And I told them, I was silent because I was building something you couldn't interrupt. So now, you tell Mado's justice were a badge, or just a blindfold. When history knocks, does it matter if you're dressed for the part? Or does it matter who's willing to stand in the street and demand an answer? If you saw someone like me walking through your neighborhood, would you stay silent or would you fight back? Let's talk about it below. Where do you draw the line between protection and power? What does accountability look like to you? Drop your thoughts, your stories, your truths. Because silence, as we all learn today, isn't always golden. It's just the color of secrets waiting to be revealed.